Hi, welcome to the fire sign episode of, I guess, like my love letters series to all the different elements. This feels very spontaneous. This feels very like it's now. It's now. I was thinking about my relationship to all the signs in the shower because that's something that I like to do. And I just started kind of going into these like juicy, beautiful um, loops about the fire signs. I'm an Aries, I have a Leo sister, I have a Sagittarius brother. I have just such beautiful examples of fire signs in my life. I find that I always have a very like there's something very homey to me about fire signs. Like I just feel at home with them so immediately. And we always end up having these very honest and somewhat challenging relationships just because we understand the allotness of one another, the fact that we're going to do a lot and we want to support it and make room for it. But we also often, I think, feel compelled to lovingly teasingly like eye roll. And I don't know, it feels very sibling core for me. And maybe that's because I have fire sign siblings. I'm never focusing on them. Like my favorite signs, let's get into it, are Libras and Pisces probably. I love Libras, I love Pisces. Those feel like my twin flames the most often. Like I meet a Libra and it's like karmic and it's cosmic and they are my opposite and they are my balancer. And Pisces also, we're right next to each other in the zodiac wheel and they're drowning in wisdom and I'm like acting brand new, first day on earth, the Aries energy bumping around like the ram I am. And there's such a charm, such a balance of energies there. And I love Pisces. I think we're very refreshed by one another's energies. So I often am like giving all of the flowers to everyone but the fire signs, I guess, because I can see so many different dynamics with these different elements. Like, and earth signs are a whole other thing. And fire signs just feel like home to me. As soon as I meet them, I feel like we understand each other, and it can be hard to have like very emotional connections with fire signs for me. I guess hard isn't the right word because I do always feel this like kinship that brings more emotional vulnerability than it would with another element where I kind of have to put in the work and the time to develop that trust. I feel with that fire sign on fire sign action, there is an inherent trust because we really know that we're not fronting, that we really are kind of exactly who the fuck we say we are. That's one thing about a fire sign too. As honest with ourselves as we can be is how honest we are with others. And of course, there's nuance to that. Like we learn how to hold back because a lot of us can be very prone to saying the quiet part out loud. And I think we all have to go on the journey of learning why that might not always be the move, why that might not always work very well, why that can sometimes cause more tension. And all of us have our own relationship with that. I know a lot of fire signs who are just very willing to stir the pot, and they don't stir the pot the way that a Libra stirs the pot. Yeah, sorry, Libras. They don't stir the pot the way a Libra stirs the pot. They stir the pot and they're still looking at it. They're still adding some seasoning to it. They aren't afraid of the fact that people are getting uncomfortable because they are aligned with truth and honesty. That's like the backbone of a lot of fire signs. But I also do think a lot of us learn how to use that power very sparingly and how to understand the cons of calling people's behavior out when you see that they're repeating cycles and like, come on, don't you see it? You said last week that you weren't going to do this anymore. And we learn how to use our ability to be aligned with truth and hold ourselves and others accountable sparingly sometimes. But basically, I think when I'm confronted with another fire sign, and I do say the word confronted, it's always very confronting. It's two flames meeting each other. But oh, also I have my flame skull shirt because this feels appropriate. But when I'm confronted with the energy of another fire sign, I do feel there is an inherent trust. And we know that we're not doing a bit. We're doing a lot of bits, but we're not doing a bit about who we are. Like we are who we say we are. And there's nothing to try to dissect and figure out. We just meet each other where we're at. And the moment feels very simple and pure and understandable. I actually find myself bored a lot with fire signs because there ain't shit to say. We both clocked it. We both know what's going on. We know exactly how we feel about the situation. We know how the other person feels. It just feels so honest and so clear. So yeah, sibling vibes for me, a lot of just common ground, I feel, with fire signs, which makes sense. I think we're so sexy. I'll say that. I think we're so sexy and so fun. I mean, all of the elements are, but fire signs are just so, they're so freaky about it, so warm about it. It's so like extroverted and outward. And even if you're a quiet, to yourself fire sign, which I've encountered a couple times, which always weirds me out. But if you're, an introverted fire sign, it's still there. Like there's still this like cheeky mischievousness. And I think we're super hot and cool. And I'm so comforted by the presence of a fire sign. So, Aries. I think my most Aries trait is the teasing people out of love thing, that whole gig that we do. For an Aries, we do really love bullying, and I think we have it mastered. And if we don't, it's the worst. And I will say that. And I am so sorry for those who have been personally victimized by an Aries when they think that they're being funny and they're not, or when they like don't know how to like chill and read the room. Aries is, the first sign of the zodiac. So it brings a lot of rebirth and renewal and freshness, but it's also like literally baby. It's so baby. And you think about the animal that's associated with Aries, it's the ram. It's like you're bonking your head into everything to try to figure out what's going on. So I understand. I meet signs sometimes who are like, oh my God, like I have an Aries parent or sibling, and it's always a challenge. Or people have been like, I really like Aries, but I feel like they're kind of mean. And I just want to say sorry on behalf of my community. I do think that they have really good hearts and they get really frustrated when they are being too rough with things. It's kind of, I'm thinking of John Malkovich and Of Mice and Men. We can just be a little too rough sometimes. And I think that's what's really fun about the, I don't know why I'm bringing these guys into it, but the Aries Libra dynamic is because Libras are constantly doing so much like social graces that I think they almost find it really freeing to be like taunted, especially because Libras, we all know, have like the scales of like self-love and like self-deprecation, and Aries show love via bullying. So it's like Libras get to be seen in their self-deprecating side that no one ever gets to because they're always kind of placating everyone. They're always making sure that the room is good, and they're always like doing their, kind of social pleasantries to make the vibe good. And Aries just go for the jugular, and Libra are kind of like, whoa, okay. No one usually notices that. And yeah, that's the beauty of that kind of thing. And there are certain people that Aries directness really serves as a strength for maybe similar reasons. Like maybe there are people who do feel loved by that abrasiveness, but I don't fault anyone for not feeling loved by that abrasiveness and wanting more candor and what's the word? Like diplomacy. I think of Aries as like jocks. Like we are physical, we are loud. Even if you're not a loud Aries, like you're very in the body, you're very present in the body, and you might benefit from being a little louder, honestly. I think Aries can have like a very nervous, high strung energy if they're not open and expressive, and we have to create space for ourselves to be open and expressive. And we have to do so by one, having self love and self compassion and being willing to break convention. I think that's so important, especially if you're like a femme Aries person. You need to be willing to break convention, and it's probably quite innate to you. And two, you have to build trust with people, and you have to know how to build trust with people. And that's something that I think Aries do know how to do. We are very loyal and we're very actionable. So like if you have a problem and you come to an Aries, we might not have like the most well thought out, like it's not like going to an earth sign for a problem where they're going to be like, well, this too shall pass, and here's what you should do in the next 3 months to work at it day by day. And Aries is going to be like, let's do something about this right now. And it can be a very calming and comforting experience. It might actually be very stimulating, but it can be very comforting to have this like childlike energy that just wants to protect you and help you and break through this moment with you. So we do build trust. And I think as a Scorpio rising Aries, I've learned to lean into the Scorpio rising and know that I will gain people's trust over time. My energy might seem really intense for people at first, but I know that the Aries warmth and the Aries childlike energy will eventually win people over. And it's not a race. That's another huge thing for Aries is when we want something, we can lose our goddamn gourds about it and just not know how to be patient and to see things through. I'm thinking about the way that I, in particular, play Mario Kart, where I can't like drive straight because I'm always like overcorrecting and just like crashing. And that can be what it looks like for an Aries sometimes. And Aries, I think there's so many ways to approach that. And there's two ways to approach that. There's one to find temperance, look at the temperance tarot card, find balance and practice patience. I had a best friend in high school who was a Taurus, and she used to always say to me, patience is the key to life. That was just like her little mantra for me. We'd been friends since we were 8 years old, and she just felt the need to share that with me, which I think is really profound and lovely. But there's also a beauty in kind of embracing the abrasiveness. And if you can balance those ups and downs, obviously, we don't want you like hurting yourself or others and then crashing and having no energy and having to rebuild all the time. But if you can soften the edges and understand the course that you're on in a greater picture, like if you can understand, I am full of creative energy today, and so I'm going to use it. I'm going to use all of my creative energy, and I'm going to bust through all these projects, and I'm going to create something, and I'm going to change my entire fucking timeline today. If you can do that and then not feel shame when you do come down from the high, and then you can be like, okay, that was great. I'm going to cocoon now, and I'm going to go into this more soft, receptive side. And if you can see the bigger picture and enjoy the ups and downs of being an Aries, I personally like to indulge in that Aries passion that kind of colors life so intensely. I will also say that there is so much about Aries that's not really on the surface and that we deal with alone. I think we're very deep thinkers. The childlike wonder also leads to a lot of wisdom because we do approach so much in life as a novice, and we, I think, are very willing to learn, and we show up with a lot of questions. And that is an incredibly wise state to be in. I'm going to say it. That's an incredibly wise and productive state to be in. And I think we go through a lot when we're alone. We think about our lives really deeply. We just don't have our minds made up on too many things. So we kind of have this beautiful processing that we do on our own. Another, I guess, little piece of advice for Aries would be to find people who can meet you in that space. I know that we're good at finding people who can meet us at our high highs because people are very magnetized to that energy. People who like that kind of stimulation really come to us. But that subtler side of an Aries is also really beautiful to share and be experienced with others. So if you can find people who can meet that side of you, and this kind of now applies to all fire signs are intelligent and deep thinkers, and that's for all fire signs not the main thing that they lead with. So, you know, all fire signs, I think, should prioritize finding community and space for the deeper aspects of themselves that are less flashy and are more like receptive. So Aries, I love you guys. I don't know where you are. I'm never meeting you, but I love you. And it is funny whenever I meet another Aries, I'm kind of like, oh yeah, we're doing the same shit, whatever. Like I just feel like I'm like, we don't need each other because like we are the same. But that's silly, and I would love to make more Aries friends. Leos. My sister is a Leo, and I have to talk about it. I don't think any of my siblings are going to watch this, so I'll say that she was my favorite from the jump. I have 7 siblings, and she's always been my favorite. I have always admired her. She's got that sunlight quality, that golden aura that Leos have. Leos truly are these manifestations of the sun. Like, they do like burn so brightly in every room. They do have this magnetism about them. And if you think about the animal thing again, like the lion, like they are this incredible predator, but you'll often kind of find them just like laying languidly and being beautiful and like basking in the sun, which is their ruler. And it is a very magnetic and healing energy. I find Leos so healing to be around because they just feel so right. There are so many signs that feel so ostracized and like wear that as a chip on their shoulder. Like, that'd be an interesting thing to divide the signs up into as well. But there are signs like Scorpios or Aquariuses or, you know, Pisces. Yeah, that's who comes to mind right now. Maybe no, not Capricorns. But those signs come to mind as people who like really value the fact that they're different and that they don't fit in this world. But I feel like Leos are like, I am this world. And it's just such a healing thing to be around someone who feels so inherent to the timeline. Like, they belong here, they take up space here, they move through the world with so much ease. I don't think it is easy for them, but they embody that, and it's important to them to embody that. And I find them so healing to be around. I think we'll call it there, actually. Wait, do I have any advice for Leos? I guess I don't have any advice for Leos. Sagittariuses, I think of as someone that, in my my relation to them, I'm like, it's someone that I pretend is like a nemesis, but actually I adore. I think Sagittariuses have so much warmth and they would do a lot for their friends, but they don't have that like Leo desire to like hype you up necessarily. Sagittarius will recognize real, but I don't think that they go around wanting to brighten up every room. They do, but they don't like go out of their way to do that. And I found that most of the time when I meet a Sagittarius, it's best for us to love each other tenderly, but be kind of cunty to one another in like a like shady, fun, like friendly fire kind of way. Sagittarius is, I think of as incredibly intelligent, scientific. I think whereas like Aries are expressive, Leos are creative, and Sagittariuses are intellects. So they use all that fire sign creativity to look at the world, to look at their lives, to create their own philosophy. I think Sagittarius is the opposite of Aries, who are bumping into everything, acting brand new. Sagittariuses have like a very deep and inherent maturity to them. I think they are one of the messier fire signs because they always know better. Whereas like Aries doesn't know better. Leo is like genuinely trying their best. And if they're being messy, they're like indulging. But I think Sagittarius is just for some reason have to do this like control experiment all the time where they like choose the messy thing just to see how it feels, even though they know. I think Sagittarius is sometimes struggle with their intuition. I think they're the mutable sign of all of these, right? Like Leo's fixed, Leo like knows what it's here to do. Aries is cardinal, Aries is calling the shots for some reason. And Sagittarius is mutable, and they're so philosophical, and they just have to be experimental, like by nature. They have to, even if it's on a micro level and they seem very, you know, fleshed out as far as like their path or their morals or like what they choose. On a small level, they have to be experimenting, and they have to be, you know, their opposite is Gemini. Like they have to be connecting dots. They have to be figuring things out. They have to be experimenting with their emotional world, collecting information in that way. And I really admire them for that. Yeah, I love Sagittariuses. And they're fucking centaurs, I guess. Since we're talking about the animal representations, or the, you know, symbolic representations, they're centaurs for some reason, which makes so much sense. Like just galloping, them being the intellects and having the like human upper torso and a bow and arrow. They're hunter gatherers. They're collecting data. They're collecting information, and they're not like nerdy about it at all. They just become so smart. They can be nerdy, of course, but they just become so smart. And I do think that is also what can sometimes take them away from their intuition, is because they're so intelligent and they're so good at intellectualizing things more than the other two fire signs, which is saying a lot because I think all of the fire signs are really adept and equipped to intellectualize things if they're so inclined. But Sagittariuses are the most likely to intellectualize, and I think that can sometimes lead them away from their horse gallop. I think the intuition lies in the horse gallop. Those fours on the floor is where their intuition is. Yeah, I think that's an interesting balance to have to strike for them. Anyway, this is my fire sign video. I love you guys. I am always thrilled to meet a fire sign and to be around your warmth and your energy. And I think you're all beautiful. And I thank you so much for watching. If you want to see more, please subscribe, show me some love, and sending lots of love your way. Mwah.